We talking about my MEPS enlisting experience. I enlisted a couple months ago, pretty while back. Basically, what happens is you talk to your recruiter and you fill out your forms for MEPS and get all that stuff squared away and get your permission to stay in the hotel because you gotta stay in the hotel overnight. And you go, well, I don't know about everybody else, but I had to stay in a hotel overnight, and I didn't do everything all in one day. It was really weird. I did my ASVAB, and I did that without having to stay in the hotel. But basically, you go into the main room at MEPS. I bet it's different everywhere else, but went to the main room at MEPS, told them my name, my last name. My recruiter was there with me. The person there gives you a little sticky sticker thing that it's like says your name, last name, and what service branch you're there for, and why you're there for, like your ASVAB or your physical or whatever. And you wait in a waiting room until they call you, like your group, because there's like people that are going in groups at a time to do their ASVAB, and they call you in, and you basically line up and wait. It's just a lot of waiting. MEPS is a lot of waiting, and you wait in a line outside of this room. And MEPS is always cold. Every military building I've been in since my enlistment is always cold. It's always freezing there. And I always tell myself, hey, bring a jacket. Don't forget to bring a jacket. But I always forget. We're waiting in line, and we go into this waiting room, and they do fingerprinting to get us into the system, I guess. And it was a pain in the ass because I don't know, I had an issue with my fingerprints. I wasn't following the instructions right. You have to put your finger on this thing, and then this computer screen tells you to move your finger up and then roll it to the left, and it's really weird. And so the lady had to do it for me 3 times, and yeah. And then you wait there, and then they take you to another room with computers, and there's a room before that room. They tell you which computer you're going into, and then they put you in one at a time, and then set you up and tell you, okay, this is the computer. You use these buttons to answer these questions, blah, blah, blah. If you have any help, there's this red button on the fucking keyboard. It's crazy huge red button. And this is really old computers too. Windows 95. Fucking old. And it's just a series of different portions. There's I remember there was two maths, 2 English, 1 science, and then they went into other stuff. There was a shape comprehension portion where they showed you a bunch of shapes, and then they try to tell you what would it look like if you put all the shapes together, and it was kind of strange. Radio and technology kind of questions, and they're asking you stuff you learn in auto shop if you take that in high school, or carpentry kind of stuff. They show you a picture of a hammer, and they ask you is this a screwdriver or a ruler or a nail? What is this? Or a hammer? So it was a really weird questions, and some physics questions about movement, pulleys and whatnot. And then after you're done, you have to complete some sort of weird I don't think it's a survey. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember because this was a while ago. You it asks you questions whether you think something is good or bad. It tells you a scenario, and then it gives you 2 options of how you're supposed to pick what you would pick that would be one of the better of the 2 that you would choose better. But sometimes it's they ask you it's 100 questions, and they ask you the same questions over and over 3 times maybe throughout the whole thing, or 6 times, and it'll be different answers each time, and you're wait a minute, some of these answers are both bad, and you wouldn't pick either of them personally, but you really don't have a choice, so you have to pick one or the other, and it's kind of weird. And I asked my recruiter what that was about, and he doesn't know, which is a common answer, I guess, for the Army. I went there for the Army, if you can't tell. didn't know where it was on my shirt. Yeah. And then after that, I went back like 2 weeks later to do my physical. So you have to do an ASVAB, you do a physical, and then you pick your job and you swear in. So for the physical, it's the same thing. You go into the building, gets a little like sticky thing on you, and it tells you there for the physical, and it has like a little like drop down sticky on it. It tells you like each portion you're on of the physical. There's like different areas, and they like each doctor, once you're complete with it, they'll like highlight it off, make sure you're done. So there was like a person like briefing us, some like medical corpsman or whatever in the Navy, telling us what was going to go down. And they always like highly stress the whole deal about if you lie about your any medical issues, you could be put in the brig or arrested or whatever and fined like a shit ton of money or something like that. And then we had like a breathalyzer, whatever it's called, for like alcohol. Make sure we didn't have any like alcohol like previously, like the night before or anything, or we weren't drunk while we were there. We like breathed into this machine, this little like straw thing. It's kind of weird because they like told me I wasn't breathing or I wasn't blowing hard enough or something. It was weird. Yeah. A pee test. You got to pee in a cup in front of a bunch of dudes. It's kind of weird because I was on the far end and there was a guy next to me who couldn't pee, so I was joking around with him and I was like, just think you're running water, and then you have to have like a guy who's watching you, supervising you, making sure like you're not like making sure you're actually peeing in the cups and not like cheating. And he yelled at me and told me to shut up, and that was the only time I ever got yelled at MEPS. And then you take blood, like a vial of blood. That's all I remember is just them taking a vial of blood. You take a hearing test, and you take a vision test, and then another vision test for like color, if you can see things. Like the hearing test is like you go into this room, it's like a big like bunker, like tank, kind of like water tank kind of room. It's like you go in there and you put these headsets on, and you get a little clicker. It's like in like if you did it in like elementary school. I remember doing it. Like it just you hear noises and you click whenever you hear a noise. You just like click the button, click the button, click the button, and everybody did good apparently. Then you take a vision test, same thing. It's like a little thing you look into it, and it, like the doctor, a little wall thing where it says like EQW, whatever. It tells you to read lines. You do that, and then you do a color one test, where it's like a bunch of blobs of the same color in a circle, and then there's like a color, different blobs colors making like a number or like a shape or something inside of it, and it asks you like what's inside the circle. So if you're colorblind, you can't tell. So yeah, it's a bunch of those, and then what else did we do? And then there's the nuts and butts room. Everybody heard about the nuts and butts room. Well, I mean, at least everybody's a processor usually hears about the nuts and butts room. Go into this room, basically, all the guys in your group, stripped down naked. It's really cold. It's like a cement floor with like tape, like cardboard onto the floor. And then they have you line up, and a doctor comes in, and he's like, all right, line up. Want you to walk on the tippy toes of your heels, blah, blah, blah. Walk in weird positions, do the duck walk where you're like on your knee, like kind of like crouched low and like holding your hips and like walking and all this weird shit. It was really awkward. And then they do the height and weight, and then if you fail that, they tape you. They like do like a tape measurement around your waist and your neck or something. And then they go take you to a back room, and the doctor like physically like just personally looks at you. He like checks your eyes and your ears and your mouth with a little tongue depression thing, and then he tells you to drop your boxers because you're just in boxers, and then he, cough left, cough right, and then he tells you to bend over, and then they don't like do a prostate exam. I don't know why a bunch of people think that you do a prostate exam, but you don't until you're like older. As long as you're not like 29 or something like that. They just look at your butthole, which is really weird, just to make sure everything's okay. And that was my physical. And then I went in a separate time just to enlist and tell your recruiter what kind of job you want. Usually your recruiter can pull the job for you if they have openings for that specific job. If they don't, you can go down to MEPS and see if they have any openings. And I'm gonna have to I'll make a separate video going more into depth about the enlisting. So yeah, peace.